During this stream of conscious, I will discuss mostly the movies since I haven't read most of the books and I can only go based on the general opinion of them. Bella Swan is a terrible character. There are several reasons for that. One, she has no agency. She barely has any personality to speak of. Even if you enjoyed the books and the movies, how would you describe her personality? The movie, as the book, uses narration by Bella, mostly early on in the film. But the movies don't need it. Show, don't tell is an early rule for filmmaking. I think I understand why she doesn't have any personality though. I believe what the author Stephanie Meyer wanted to do was make a story where the girls reading it would envision themselves as Bella. The problem is she and later the film writers did the same thing that makers of dating sims and erotic games do and not give the main character any personality. That way the player can better fit into the game. Unfortunately, that's lazy writing and character building. When you do that, you're really saying to the reader that you don't possess the skill to create new or interesting characters. Let me show you an example of a character that everyone can relate to done better. John McClane from Die Hard. He's limited in ability, strength, intelligence. He's not the best at what he does. He's balding. He uses wisecracks as faux cockiness as a way to cover his fear and work through his personal issues. But he's also very cunning when push comes to shove. Also, at times, he's both reserved and laid back. You can't describe his character with only one word or one sentence. You can do that, however, with Bella, and that shouldn't be the case. Another issue I have with her is she's a transparent protagonist. She advances the story by doing nothing. I don't feel every female character has to be a strong, independent woman, but they should at least be interesting and do something to push the narrative along. Here's an example. Blanche from A Streetcar Named Desire and Norma Desmond from Sunset Boulevard. Both of them are broken characters like to a degree Bella. However, you want to see their story. What will they do? What caused them to become this way? How will their story end? You never get that from Bella. Yes, her parents did divorce and her mother isn't in the picture really, but that doesn't get much focus. She's not being treated bad at home or school, so what's her problem? Also, why does everyone treat her like she's so special? In any other story, she would be a soon-to-be-forgotten background character instead of the lead character. Next, Bella hasn't a real character arc in a series. When Bella starts getting a bit of a personality later on, she's selfish and self-destructive. The relationship she decides to get into isn't any better. The best example for her greedy decisions: 1, falling off a cliff, getting married young, and 2, a vampire, having everyone think for her and make her decisions for her. Example, Alice and Edward. Cock-teasing Jacob, having a vampire baby, becoming a vampire, and possibly the worst thing, she could have ended the entire werewolf and vampire conflict and the proposed oncoming war easily by just doing a couple of simple things, such as leaving Forks or not having the baby to begin with, but doesn't because Edward stares at her creepily. Ugh. She didn't because she only thought about herself and her own happiness and not her welfare or anyone else's welfare. What's even worse is she never really gets punished for this. Because in the end, the war doesn't happen. She gets the cute boy and the baby who's aging rapidly, but well. She gets married, becomes a vampire, but becomes more beautiful as a result. And everyone loves her and will protect her and at the risk of their own lives, even though if she were in their position, she probably wouldn't do the same for them. She's basically the same character from the beginning of the first film to the character at the ending of the last film. With all that being said, my major problem with the film series itself are the writers themselves. Based on the general opinion that I've seen, Stephanie Meyer isn't a good writer. From the first novel through all the way to the host, her writing hasn't improved. So if you're going to adapt the story, then you need to surpass the source material. It is possible to actually do that. A couple examples are the film adaptations of Jaws and The Godfather. I've read The Godfather, the book. It's not a really good book. The movie was 10 times better. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Twilight would become a film classic, but when you pay experienced Hollywood writers, they should have the ability to be a better writer than a novice. For curiosity's sake, I decided to take a look and see who actually wrote the script to the Twilight movies, and it looks like it was only one person. A Melissa Rosenberg wrote the screenplays for every Twilight movie. Her filmography is the Step Up movie, the first one, the Twilight films, oh boy, and is currently working on a Highlander movie. Most of her work has been on television, episodes of Dexter, Class of '96, Alex, Love Monkey, Birds of Prey, oh boy, Ally McBeal, and it goes on. Why didn't her writing get any better as well, I'm thinking. As far as the series as a whole, the lack of continuity, the bad CGI, the bad character building and dialogue, but there is some real promise when it comes to the world building. The werewolves and vampire societies and the cultures are a bit more interesting, but they're not really executed that well. To be honest, I would say the most interesting thing in the movie would be the werewolves themselves. They're the protectors of Forks. They have a long history with the vampires, and just by themselves, they have very valid reasons for what they're doing, and a lot of trouble could have been averted if someone would have just listened to them. While I find the werewolves as a whole as the most interesting thing in the series, at least the most interesting concept, the best character I feel is actually Alice. Alice actually gets things done. A couple examples would be Bella's birthday party, the wedding, and in the climax of Breaking Dawn Part 2, she actually saves the day. Something she does prevents the war from ever happening. All things considered, she should be the main character of the series. She may not always be a likable character, but she is the most interesting. As a side note, if Alice wasn't going to be the main character, then how about the character of Jessica and the Kendrick's character? She was more of a fully realized character than Bella, and she didn't really have that much time on screen. Despite all the issues I have with Twilight, I don't hate it. I just feel that it was a missed opportunity. I've seen in an interview where Stephanie Meyer admits that she doesn't know anything about vampire lore. I guess even while writing the story, she was never really interested in checking it out. It did used to get me angry, but then I thought about, what if I looked at Twilight as a satire? If you can do that, maybe it might change the way you feel about the series, because, hey, you have to find some enjoyment from bad literature and films sometimes. And until next time, goodbye.